I am a retired FBI agent with 27 years of law enforcement experience. I've worked undercover operations off and on for 12 years, and one of the things that I've learned, whether I'm dealing with people on either sides of the law, is that successful interaction comes from building relationships. And to give you an example of that, on one occasion when I was working undercover, I was working with this individual who had quite a record. And we were driving together, and then we were surrounded by the FBI. They were going to make an arrest. And I turned to the individual, and I identified myself as a special agent. And he started crying. He looked at me, and he said, "But I thought you were my friend." And what hit me, he was more concerned about our broken relationship than he was about going back to prison. That's how important relationships are. So I remember that story and stories like that. So in 2001, when I was going to retire from the FBI, I had already verbally accepted a position with American Airlines to head their security for South America and the Caribbean. And then the Lord spoke to my heart. And what he said to me is, everything that you learn in the FBI, you are to use it in ministry. And I wondered, what was that going to look like? And I remember when I was in South Dallas area, low income, high crime areas, it was really common to see on every corner you would see a church or you would see a liquor store. And I had an epiphany. These residents were actually in a ghetto desert. They had two choices. They could pick the liquor store, which would quench their thirst momentarily, or they could choose the church and quench their thirst through the living word, which is God. So based on that, I started a program called Oasis Center. And the purpose of Oasis is to be a beacon of hope, to give them a sense of belonging, one block at a time, to give them a sense of relationship, one block at a time, and to give them a sense of God, one block at a time. So the first program that we started, we call it the First Time Youth Offender Program. In those communities, especially minority young men, they face the prospect of just being picked up by the police, whether they committed a crime or not. And what they do is they look at their exposure, where they may be facing 10, 15, 20 years, and the police could easily get them to agree to a 3 to 5 year sentence. And with my experience in law enforcement, I said the issue is helping them navigate the system. So in this program, our focus was, and I knew that once you were arrested, if you acted really, really quickly, you have a 95% chance of getting that from a felony down to a misdemeanor. And that was working for us great until we partnered with the Dallas District Attorney's Office. Now, they have a 9 to 12 month program, and they had taken a look at our 8-day work camp, and they actually incorporated that into their program. So in their program for 9 to 12 months, what they do is they look at the individual, they take a look if they have substance abuse, they give them treatment. If they need counseling, they give them counseling, and they are really, really big on community service. Why? Community service helps them get involved in the community, not just return to the community, but get involved as a citizen. So one of the things that we learned as we was dealing with these youths, we wasn't getting any validation from the parents at all. And the ones who are most at risk, we found that they have either a parent or parents who were formerly incarcerated. So we said, you know what, we got to build up the family. We're going to have to start an adult reentry program, which we did. And the focus was the same, to teach them relationship, healthy relationship within the family, to give them meaning. So in doing this, we focus on classes, and one of our core classes is cognitive skills. It's so important for them to know who they are. And then we turn around and show them who they are in the lens from God, because we all fall short, and everyone deserves a second chance. So in these classes, We do 2 classes a week. They're 2 hours. So the first one is a lot of secular teaching, life skills. And then the second one is taught by a minister. So we back everything you learned on Tuesday with the Word of God. Now, since we have been running this since 2001, we have served 1,200 people. Last year, we did 140. We usually average right around 85. And to give you an example of a successful person going through the program, I want to talk about a woman named Kwana. Kwana is a former gangbanger, heavily tattooed, and I mean, she could go to blows with absolutely anybody that we've ever had in the program. Well, Kwana was a drug dependent, and she abused her children. She actually had her children taken away from her. And when she came out of prison, she went to the parole office and actually got permission to come to Dallas, specifically to join the Oasis Center program. She graduated the program, and she wouldn't leave us. What she did is when you come to Oasis, we do an interview of you, and during that interview, we emphasize that you are with family. And we do an assessment to find out what your needs are, whether it's anger management, vocation, or just to get ID, like a license. Well, she wouldn't leave us. She stayed with us as a volunteer. And one day, I was going past her office, and I heard her talking to someone on the phone. And she says, I can't believe that I have the opportunity to help people out as I've been helped out. And what I did is, I didn't hear her conversation, I heard her heart. So shortly after that, we hired Kwana, and she has her kids back, and she has been one of the best case managers that we've had. So in our program today, we work with 7 different churches, and one of the churches was started by our first case manager. He was working with Oasis, but he got ordained by a church called Oasis on the Mount. And so his church is called Oasis on the Mount Christian Healing Center. Everyone in that church is formerly incarcerated, including the pastor. In Oasis, our whole purpose is to be a beacon of hope within the ghetto desert, to give them meaning, 1 block at a time, to give them healthy relationship, 1 block at a time, and to introduce them to God, 1 block at a time.